Good afternoon, Greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And there has been a lot of economic data points. This is Sarah's favorite stuff, guys. We saw some CPI data get released this past week. We're going to talk about. There's a new bill seeking to eliminate capital gains tax on primary residence sales, and there's been some softness to the mortgage application market over these first 3 weeks, and a horrible article from Redfin we're going to explain to you all here, as well as some development happening in Limerick, Southern Chester County, and the Taylor Hospital getting sold in Springfield. So if you get some value out of this, or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and if you want to schedule a call with our team, and Sarah specifically, she's an expert in all this stuff, all kidding aside, she can help you with exactly what you need when it comes to real estate. You can book a call with her with the link in the comments. So we got all this economic data, Sarah, this past week. And what I found the most interesting, I want to start with this. Lance Lambert over at Resi Club broke this down, where mortgage purchase applications are starting 2026 in historically soft territory, the bottom 25th percentile, and they're now approaching the historically normal purchase application level between the 25th and 75th percentile, so basically the middle 50%. Is this something people should be concerned about, whether you're selling or buying? Or are you concerned about it? Tell us more about your reaction here, knowing that it's January 17th when this was published, the 20th when we're talking about it here, because the year seems like it's not what a lot of predictors had anticipated so far, even though we're only about 3 weeks in.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I think, so it's saying that the applications were down, but they're like starting to tick up.
Yes.
I think that kind of, it makes sense. A lot of times, like when we're talking to both buyers and sellers, we talk about January being a month that people kind of like come out ready to go. But that doesn't mean that January 1st or 2nd, they're already
that's a good point.
Out there. I think it does take, a week or so after getting into January for people to really kind of be like ready to get their gears in motion and kind of start going. And then if these are people who maybe were delaying the search until January, it's going to take them a week or two probably to get out there looking at some properties before they would start potentially writing offers. So, I think it's interesting that it's soft there, but I don't think that would like raise a ton of red flags for me.
I agree with what you're saying. And what I'm clear on is that we're in that kind of ramp up period, and it doesn't help when you get like a snowstorm over the weekend and things like that. However, there's a lot of people, and I'm talking about predictors, like NAR was one of them. We went over the predictions here that thought 2026 was going to be like a massively better year when it comes to real estate sales. And this is an early indicator that it might be more like last year, which is what I'm, what a lot of people are predicting. Realtor.com's predicting we see like a small bump in sales. We see rates kind of come in around the same number, versus other people predicting we're going to see 10% more sales. I don't know if that's going to happen in the current climate. And this might be an early indicator that that's the case. Now, the good news is that mortgage rate spreads have improved. So, and I know you know what this means. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. Mortgage rate spreads, they represent the difference between like the 10-year yield and the 30-year mortgage. So historically, they've been at it averaged 1.77 percentage points in the difference. Now, in the past, we saw like 2.3, 2.4, as high as 2.93 percentage points in October of 2023. So this tells me mortgage rates are kind of normalizing. Does the average person even understand what this means?
No.
So how would you explain it to somebody that mortgage spreads are improving? Because they look at the yield of the 10-year, and then there's some financial people that get this. And I have a hard time understanding this earlier in my career until I looked at it every day. How do you explain this to people in a meaningful way they can understand? Because rates are improving, and it looks like the market's normalizing, which is good for a lot of people, but I don't think the average consumer gets this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that I oftentimes kind of answer on like a large level here, some basic questions, and then that's usually when I point them over to the lender. But
Smart. No, that's a smart move.
to get like the specifics, because also, there's so many individual factors that can go into what rate you're going to get, that while across the board it's great to hear that the mortgage rates are kind of stabilizing. You want to find out what your exact situation is.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually I don't get too into the weeds with it.
I think that's smart because one, every mortgage company is going to be different, and sometimes, I mean, a consumer talks to multiple lenders and they get like wildly different information, which is not good for anybody. So I tend to agree with you there. And when I see this here, I would caution people: hey, it's early in the year. If you're a salesperson like myself or Sarah, you're very anxious to get the year going pretty quickly. That's just not how it works sometimes. And the fact that we're getting close to normal shows me that the market's starting to normalize, which is great. And there's some other things happening right now that are going to help the market kind of get started. The first of which is the inflation data that just came out for the month of December. So the Consumer Price Index, which is basically how the government gauges inflation, or it's a key inflation gauge, rose 2.7% in December from the previous 12 months. And that was in line with where estimates were predicted to come in. Mark Zandi, the chief economist at Moody, said inflation is still uncomfortably high. I question the measurement here because we know they're using our antiquated things like owner's equivalent rent. So if you and your husband were to rent out your home, the hypothetical number you could get, that's not always the case. I mean, it's kind of like using a Zestimate as like a measurement.
Sure.
It's not right. He talks about tariffs pushing up inflation, which I don't really agree with because it's basically been the same. If you look at the Consumer Price Index year over year, I mean, in December of last year, it was at 2.9%. Now we're at 2.7%. And if you take out food and energy, we're at 2.6%, compared to in December of last year, we were at 3.2%. So I don't agree with these comments. And what I'm seeing a lot of now, which concerns me a little bit, is there's this, just like what some of these people are predicting with sales, is they're saying one thing, but the data indicates something else. And to me, it's like a good news, bad news report when it comes to inflation. I know the Fed's meeting coming up here, and so do you think this is going to have any impact on the Fed? Is this inflation report something consumers should be worried about because it's in line with expectations? To me, it's kind of what everyone expected, which I like reports that are expected.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. It came in around where it was expected to. All of this stuff does, weigh in and obviously, make a difference in how everything kind of tracks. But overall, for like housing, I would say this isn't going to like move the needle one way or another.
Yeah, and if you look at, so the Fed's meeting in about a week. I think it's a week and a day, 7 days and 22 hours. And if you look at the predictors, there's the CME group. They have a 95% chance we don't see a rate cut. Jerome Powell is now under threat of indictment, which is pretty interesting. I mean, there's so much drama going on with the Fed. I don't see any shot there's a rate cut at the next meeting, especially with the jobs report was kind of a good news, bad news report as well. So the market's going to be what we get right now. And before we jump into some of these other topics, knowing that it's early in the year, and this happens every year, and I'm curious how you're handling this with consumers you're working with and buyers. Like people want to wait. Like, I'm waiting for the better opportunity. I'm waiting to see what happens. Is that a good strategy right now if you're finding what you want? Like, what are you advising people? Because it's early in the year for sure, but early doesn't mean that there's going to be better opportunities later.
Right. I mean, I think if it's, something where everything's kind of lining up for a specific property, and they want, to hold out and see if they can get a better price later or, something different down the line. What if nothing else like this comes up with everything being in line exactly the way it is now? Meaning like the rate, we ran your estimated cost sheets and your everything falls in line with what you can afford for your monthly payment. This is checking the most important boxes on your list. You want to have this move for, whatever reason it is. If nothing like this were to come up again, would you be disappointed that you didn't go for this property? Because you can what if anything to death. But there's like a reality of, does this work for you? Do you like it? Would you be excited to live in this home?
One of the most important questions to ask, I know you asked this, I've been on the phone when you've asked this question when we're working with mutual clients, is how are you going to feel if we don't put our best foot forward and we lose the house? And that's really like what you got to ask yourself, because if it's, I'm not going to feel great, Sarah, or I'm concerned, or I'm going to be upset, well, then we're not making the right offer. It would be the advice. And that's not just price. It's also terms.
Yep.
And we're still seeing people waive inspections. I mean, you can usually get a pretty good idea about a house when you walk in there for the most part and see if there's a problem, if you have a competent agent working with you. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always the unexpected stuff. If it's, like an 1800s farmhouse, you might want to get an inspection. But
sure,
something built in like the 90s or the 2000s, you got to be very careful there. So,
and I think you can also you can look back and see, if it's been with the same owner for 20 something years,
that's a good point.
And you can tell that it's been a well cared for, well kept up with home. It makes you feel a little bit more confident in, they were invested in this home. This wasn't somebody that just was in here for a year or two. So there's a lot of other things that you can kind of look at to just, and that's not going to answer every question for you. And certainly there could be unexpected things that pop up, but it gives you a kind of good idea of, if it looks like they've taken good care of all of the main parts of the home and they have, getting things serviced regularly. It makes you feel like if there were a problem that would have popped up, they would have wanted to tackle it.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And you can usually tell how well the home's maintained within the first couple minutes just walking in. And like you said, you got the disclosure. They're going to disclose a lot of stuff. People have all kinds of records when it comes to homes. So there's that. There's also the question of how solid is your pre-approval or pre-commitment. This is all stuff a good agent can prepare you with. And my point is that we know there's going to be more competition for buyers come March, April, May, right? We know there's going to be more competition for sellers. So don't take the January market lightly. There are going to be opportunities that come out, and some sellers are trying to beat the market so they don't deal with all the competition. Right. So I don't know that the market's going to get a lot better. We've been saying this for a while before you went on maternity leave, and now that you're back, that this market's probably going to be a lot like last year's market. So if you're expecting this magic wand to get waved, or 5% rates are going to save your real estate decision, I have bad news that's probably not likely to happen. And these economic indicators are a real good understanding of that. So, when people are hesitating, I mean, how do you walk your clients through that? Because you've gotten a lot of houses in tough situations. You've helped people navigate on the sell side when they're dealing with multiple offers, the right one to go with. What other advice do you have for people in order to better navigate these decisions?
Well, I think you want to get back to the reason why you're out here doing this. What is the reason for the move? The motivation is always going to be a very important piece. Nobody, for the most part, people aren't just doing this solely because they think it's so much fun. There's usually a reason for wanting to make a move here. So kind of getting back to the basics there for what is the reason, asking them what is it that you're concerned about? What are, getting into kind of what they're feeling, and not just assuming that what the hesitation may be, because sometimes it's not what you think it is. And then being able to either have answers for them or get answers for them if there is some unknowns there.
If you're an agent listening to this and you don't have ChatGPT or Grok or some sort of AI search function downloaded on your phone, you're messing up right now, because that's an easy way to find a lot of these answers. I mean, what are some of the common questions you get that you can find with a quick search?
Let's see. I mean, there'll be different things for in basements.
Yeah, sure. That's a good one.
Basement stuff comes up a lot. And you can take pictures and then send it into ChatGPT sometimes too, if there's something, you know what I mean? So you can kind of get a little bit of a feel for some things there. A lot of the questions have to do with just like timing, and not even so much the house itself, but like, how does this, what does this mean? How does this timing work? And even if you are doing the appointments early on where you're the buyer consult and you're like walking them through stuff, that's a lot of information to retain when it actually comes down to it.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the questions are kind of like timing things.
I think that's really smart. Things like, hey, how much does an inspection cost? Like that's a common one. You talk about timing, like when the tax bills are due. Like there's so many things that you can probably just, if you take the time to look up and really think about it, you'll be able to get people in the moment and keep moving forward, because it is timing. That's one of the biggest concerns for consumers. If you look at all the consumer surveys, and the timing is usually related to like schools, whatever they have going on at work in some cases. I mean, the list goes on. So you also want to be able to have those easily answerable questions. I don't know if that's a word. Just give them to them right away, instead of like, I'll get back to you, because it creates you as an expert here. So anything else you want to add?
Well, I think that sometimes for sellers, they're looking for like a magic date where if you list on this date, everything is like perfect. And my main piece of advice for sellers is typically like, when is the right time to list? When you have all of your ducks in a row, when everything is ready, that is when you list. And then certainly looking at the calendar, and we have strategies for best like day of the week to hit the market, for like what our coming soon campaign looks like. Yes, we're going to factor that in, but there isn't some magic date for the spring market where like, if you list it right now, this is going to guarantee you, the best of the best. It's when you're ready.
If you have an agent that tells you you want to list right after the Super Bowl, just throw that person out of your house immediately. I hear this all the time. Like it's and then the Super Bowl used to be in like mid-January.
Yeah.
And now it's middle of like first, second week of February. I think it's trending towards President's Day weekend at this point. That is such nonsense advice. What Sarah's talking about is absolutely right. There's not a magic time. You want to look at what competition looks like, what your needs are. Analyze the local market and the data. I mean, we've sat down and done this with sellers where you see January and February, there's not as many listings, but a lot of homes selling. And then March, you see a big pop in listing inventories. That's another thing you want to be mindful of. So that's a really good point. So that's kind of what you want to look at with this economic data. Now, there's a piece of legislation. I don't know how far this is going to go. However, this would be a big win for consumers. So this got released today. And this is federal legislation. So there was a proposal in Washington from Representative Craig Goldman of Texas, where he is moving or proposing a bill. It's called the Don't Tax the American Dream Act. Great name, by the way. Like from a marketing perspective, I think that's genius. That would eliminate federal capital gains on the sale of primary residences. Americans, this is a quote from Representative Goldman, Americans are overtaxed. The Don't Tax the American Dream Act repeals costly capital gain tax on home sales so the Americans keep more of their hard-earned money. Repealing these taxes will unleash the housing market and help restore the American dream of home ownership. I think he listens to the show, Sarah, because we've talked about this here.
Yes.
And this capital gains exemption that's in place now was set in 1997. It's $250,000 for individuals, $500,000 for married couples if you're filing jointly, and that's the exemption on the gain when you're selling a primary residence. Home values have tripled on average since 1997 nationally. So the fact that hasn't, just think about what you were doing in 1997. We talked about this last week.
Yeah,
this is a very smart piece of legislation. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a copy of the bill, and I'm worried that they're going to put a bunch of government pork in there that's going to create a whole bunch of problems. This could be something that, if passed, could unlock some more inventory and incentivize sellers to list. This is the first. I mean, we talked about these plans and initiatives that President Trump has. Now, I don't know if he's behind this or not, or he's suggested this person brings the bill in place. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? This would be something that could have meaningful outcomes for home sellers to be incentivized to sell their property.
Right. Yeah. No, this is something that could actually create some more inventory and spur some more sellers to come to the market. Because it's a very real piece as people are considering selling. Like, you know, they want to net as much as they can, and if capital gains is going to eat up a large chunk of what they would be walking away with, that's going to hold them back.
Well, you think about it too. I mean, someone's been in their home 20, 30 years, right? So that's basically where we are in 1997. They've seen all this equity growth and they go to sell. Well, unless they've done a lot of work to it, and they've probably done some, the basis and the gain, the way this all gets calculated, it's going to be high, right? And so there's makes more. And how many times do you talk to somebody? It makes more sense for me to stay in the home than buy something else because they don't have that cash on hand. They're getting hit with what's the average capital gains tax rate right now? I mean, that's going to be so in 2025, the capital gains tax rate. It's 0% with your when you're up to make up to $96,000. It goes as high as 20%. So I mean, you make 500,000. Well, guess what? You just made 400,000, and then that's meaningful money someone could put towards buying a new home. So I like this here. I'm glad something like this is finally coming out. We'll see if it actually gets passed. I mean, that's the problem with these things is that they got to go through Congress and then it's got to go through the Senate. So who knows? This is something meaningful that could help housing here. So that's good news. And that's there's been an array of stuff coming out of Washington that looks like it's trying to unlock some sales in the housing market.
Yeah.
So we're talking about home sellers here. I'm curious what you think about this article, Sarah. So this was published today on Redfin's website. By the way, the Redfin CEO's out. So I mean, it tells you what's going on at that company after they got sold. So I mean, he's failed as a business leader. So that's all we can say about it. It's not shocking. Listen to this headline. Home sellers outnumber buyers by a record margin, upping buyers' bargaining power. Just react. I don't even want to say anything.
I think that's misleading.
You're being kind. This is irresponsible.
Yes.
So the reason behind this is that according to their data, now we're going to talk about the local data here. There was an estimated 47.1% more home sellers than buyers in the U.S. housing market in December, the largest gap in records dating back to 2013, and that's up 7.1 percentage points from a month earlier, the largest monthly increase in September 2022. This is insane to me.
Right.
I mean, I believe the data, but there's probably a few isolated housing markets that are here. And how do you know how many buyers are out there in the first place? Like, I mean, do you register? It's like getting a driver's license. Like, oh, okay, this is a licensed buy. Like, How are they estimating all this stuff? I mean, what do you think about this? This is just insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, that does not make much sense. I mean, certainly, I'm sure there are certain areas where buyers could be, or like sellers could be outpacing buyers, but definitely not here in our local market.
Well, and that's the point. Now, I mean, I think places like Punta Gorda, Florida, they've had, and they actually have a heat map here, right? So if all the red is, you've got Florida, Texas, there's Las Vegas, there's 88.9% more sellers, 65.9 in Phoenix, 111% more in Nashville. That's it. Those are the only major markets. Everywhere else, it's like neutral or they're even in Philadelphia, they're saying there's 19.7% more sellers than buyers. Now that I could see that being accurate, that there might be a little more sell, but it depends on the neighborhood. Suburban counties in Philadelphia, Montgomery County is identified here specifically as there's 32.3% negative more sellers than buyers, so less, I guess, is what they mean. I don't understand how you determine how many buyers are out there. I just don't get it.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't quite add up. And I think like when you see headlines like that, then it kind of skews your perception of what's going on in the market, and that's not going to be helpful.
Well, so let's debunk this. That's what I wanted to do here before we take a break, because I feel like we've got a responsibility to the people in the greater Philadelphia area, what actually is going on. So if you look at the metro market, and this is just through December, the month's supply of homes out there. Now, this is Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, Bucks County, Philadelphia, parts of South Jersey. There's 4 adjacent counties right along the Delaware, and then northern Delaware, the 2 out of 3 counties in the state of Delaware. There is a 1.85 supply of months, 1.85 months supply of homes on the market. So less than 2. So what that means,
balanced market is 6.
Yes, and what that means is that less than 60 days, everything's sold. Now I'm gonna go a little deeper into the Metro Philadelphia area, because I think that's you're gonna see. I want to go county by county here with you. So Bucks County, 1.13 month supply of homes on the market. So would you call that a buyer's market or a seller's market? We're going to do a little exercise here.
That's going to be a seller's market.
Seller's market. So you got, what, 33 days or something like that? Chester County, 1.21 month supply of homes on the market. So is that a buyer or seller's market, Sarah?
Seller.
All right, we don't have to keep doing this, but 1.32 month supply in Delaware County, 1.19 month supply in Montgomery County, and the city of Philadelphia now that has the highest, 3.34. It's also got the most people living there. There's very diverse neighborhoods. So how are you explaining this to buyers if someone says, hey, Sarah, I saw on Redfin that there's more sellers than buyers out there right now. How's that impact our real estate plans? Like, what do we do here?
Well, I think I would bring it back to real estate being local, and what matters is what's going on in our market for your ability to be competitive, who you're up against, and inventory, kind of like everything. Like, it matters for where you're looking to buy, or if you're a seller, to sell. And you have to bring it back to the local market and show that that's not the situation here.
So, I mean, do you get people that really believe this stuff? I mean, like, what's the average consumer saying to you? Because you do a good job about educating people up front. Obviously, our whole team is. I mean, we talk about that constantly. What happens in the field? Like someone sees this. Like, how does it play out? Because I'm sure there's people listening or watching that and like, well, what does this mean? I don't understand. That's what Redfin's saying.
Yeah. So I think you almost don't have to go so in depth about it. I feel like sometimes, and it depends on the personality type of who you're talking to, but just kind of explaining what's going on, sometimes giving case studies of recent offers that you've put in or recent sellers that you've represented, to kind of, especially if it lines up with the type of home that they are either looking for or the area, to kind of give real life examples of what you're experiencing and what you're firsthand seeing out in the field.
I agree. I think that's really smart. So, and the case studies to me are the best, because when you tell stories about what actually goes on, it makes it feel a lot more relatable to people than like, hey, I've got this, here's what the data says, because you're not an analytical person. Mm-hmm. You know how to analyze. I don't want to, but you're not that analytical personality, right? Like you got analytical people, they'll eat this data up. They're going to be like, great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Then you get someone like me that's like, all right, just tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you've had enough conversations with me. I'm like, all right, let's get this done. Let's get to the point. Let's move on. Then you've got the expressive people. So that's you, right? So like, how do you go through your decision-making process? Like, I mean, do you want to hear all this data, or like what speaks to your sort of personality type?
Is that you're asking me?
Yeah. I mean, unless I'm talking to somebody else here, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, I would want a little bit of data so that I know that I'm making the right decision, but I would want to hear in plain language what's actually going on and what's going to win me the house.
Yeah, and I think that's most people. And Amy, I mean, you've got an amiable, expressive personality. You're probably like, what are you talking about? But I study this stuff. And most people fall into those categories. So you want to make it real for them. And when you hear, hey, that worked for somebody else, why can't that work for me? Like, that appeals to me. I want to know what works. And that's why you can't just spit out data when you're talking to consumers. You got to show them, hey, this. So, before you got into real estate, if I said there was a 1.21 month supply, you'd probably look at me like I had 5 heads.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got to understand how to explain this in a way that makes sense for people. And there's going to be more headlines like this. You look at just the predictions that people made this past year and how much bad information is going to be out there. Resi Club did a nice job looking at the housing forecast roundup for everybody that's out there. Well, if you look at the range, I mean, there's people that think rates are going to be like in the low 5s all the way up to like the high 6s. So, I mean, they're all over the place. So you've got to understand how to explain the local data here. And that's what's going to matter most for consumers, is what's going on locally. I mean, you got to be very careful with these headlines that are out there. So with that in mind, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got some development news happening. We got a killer new listing with an open house this weekend. We'll be right back on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Mortgage in the greater Philadelphia area. And by that, I really mean Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, even Florida. Look no further.
Even Florida.
The Sutera team.
How many loans they actually do in Florida?
I know.
We are local Pennsylvania lending experts with loans that fit nearly any unique home buying situation. We've got amazing first-time buyer options, low to no down payment programs, non-agency programs. Get a free pre-approval now at ccm.com and make sure you search for us, the Suteras. That is Sutera. When it is time to move, we are right behind you. That is me, DJ Sutera, and my business partner, Kyle Sutera. We've got you covered.
Equal housing opportunity, subject to credit approval, NMLS 3029, NMLS 139036, MLSconsumeraccess.org.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows
Gina
Greater
was so
Philly
excited
better
to
than
send you
we
guys
do.
that video
We
when we
know
got
real
home, and I was
estate,
like,
but more
Oh my
importantly,
gosh.
she's
we're
like,
real
she was
people.
that girl.
We hire
She got all
great
that. I'm like,
agents and we give them
send
all
it.
the tools to succeed.
Relax.
Even our brand new agents sell
She's too
17
funny.
to 24 homes a year
Oh my God.
because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals.
Speaking of that party, I thought that was
We're a
actually a
top
pretty good
1%
venue.
real
Instead of
Yeah.
like,
estate team in the
better than
country.
like the sit down
We call
dinner
it triple
stuff.
Yeah,
service.
no, I thought it
We're
worked
your
out well.
advocate,
That was
ally,
good.
and advisor.
And it was like super
Because
close
this
for
isn't
me.
a
So that was
transaction
cool.
to
I
us.
was trying to
It's
find
a
somewhere. I mean,
relationship.
you happen to live
If
in like the
you're buying or
bullseye.
selling
Like,
a
Yeah.
home, call the Tom
we're just
Toole
like, why is
Sales
this so
Group at
far? I'm like,
RE/MAX
what do you want? Head
Main
down the street from my house? Like, it's, like, I'm sure some people wouldn't mind, but it's kind of a pain in the ass getting to work.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Um,
TomToole.com. Sell your home for more. And
Does
remember,
this
the
one
real
need a
estate
bunch of
golden
work
rule.
inside?
You always get more when you
I don't know.
work with Tom Toole.
The
I'm
one
Tom
that's
Toole of the
on
Tom
the
Toole
list
Sales
for
Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of
open
becoming a
houses.
real estate agent in the greater Philly
it
area,
looks
I have
good.
a
I mean,
special
I don't
offer
know. I have no
for you.
idea. I haven't seen it.
Our
So.
team did $165 million of volume
It's on a
in
busy road, though, right? It's on Wynwood
making
Road.
us
That's
the
like,
#1
Yeah.
RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30 plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestateScholarshipProgram.com.
Do you know
Or
where I
visit the
go to
Tom Toole
find
Sales
out?
Group
So
at
for that
RE/MAX Main Line
like
at
land
TomToole.com.
listing that I
That's
got,
Tom
they sent like
Toole.com.
a bunch of
Get
questions.
more out of your real estate
Do I
career, and
contact?
remember the real estate
Because like
golden
I don't
rule.
think he's
You
gonna
always
know
get
the
more
answer to
I
when
can
you
probably
work
help
with Tom
you.
Toole.
Let's look at it together afterwards. I got some time. All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And there are some new developments happening in Limerick, in southern Chester County, and the Taylor Hospital got sold. Very controversial. Let's start with some of these development pieces of news here, Sarah. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team and Sarah specifically, you can do that with the link right in the comments. So Limerick, if you don't know where Limerick is, it's out in Montgomery County, a little further west from here. There was a proposal to build a massive data center in Limerick Township. And of course, local residents are expressing concerns. This seems to be the trend with any sort of development. Now, a data center is a lot different, and they're wondering how Montgomery County should handle this development tied to AI and cloud computing. The project would take an undeveloped parcel between the Limerick generating station and the Philadelphia premium outlets. You ever been to the premium outlets out there?
Wait, the Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, they're not in Philadelphia. It's in Limerick, but they call it the Philadelphia Premium Outlets.
I have not.
So with a lot of stores. And it's an unused piece of land. Excuse me. and they're going to put a 1.5 million square foot facility there.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's like an unused piece of land, well, what is it that people are pushing back about? Like specifically that it's a data center, or just like the fact that any development is going on?
So residents are concerned about the unknown environmental and infrastructure risks. They're talking about like it needing significant electricity and water to cool servers, raising concerns about utility strain, and maybe even like long-term costs for some of the ratepayers out there. Um, there was a similar debate in Conshohocken because they proposed a data center out there as well. And now there's like legal challenges over zoning and environmental impacts. So I think they're worried about like more like infrastructure than anything else. Because right now, I mean, you're between the Limerick power plant generating station. Like, what else are you going to build there? Number
Right,
one, and,
right.
and like all this shopping. So if you haven't been to these premium outlets, I mean, I've been there once. I would not go back. I mean, it's like all these stores and the parking is insane.
Yeah.
It's like going to like the outlets down in Delaware, right? Like they have just like tons and tons of stores, and
Sure.
it like I guess it's cool going there, but it's a lot.
Well, I mean, I would think they would have to be able to look at other facilities that have successfully been built and see what that does to the amount of like water and electricity that they need to run it. This
Well,
wouldn't be like a first of its kind.
Yeah, I think that's the one of the questions. Now, you're going to think I'm crazy here, but the San Francisco 49ers, so they're not local, clearly, and their practice facility is right next to an electric substation, and there is rumor, and there's no data behind this, but there are rumors that they get injured more frequently because of the proximity to the electric substation because of the power output that's there. And they're saying that the low frequency electromagnetic fields can degrade collagen, weaken tendons, and cause soft tissue damage at levels regulators call safe. So maybe there's something to this. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a wild theory, but if you look at the map of, they have like the Super Bowl is going to be here. So you have the Super Bowl or Levi Stadium. Then there's the substations kind of on the left. If you're looking at it north to south, it's like south west. And there's two fields below where they have their practice facility. And that's where everyone spends all their time. So there's talk that could be a problem.
What's a substation?
So you ever see, it's like where you see all like the transformers and everything, and like
Okay.
it's all the infrastructure to keep the power going.
Okay.
You're probably not used to seeing these because they don't. I mean, they're around here, but there's not a ton of them. Like there's a section of Wallingford and Garden City that's right next to the electric substation.
Okay.
There's a couple like in Philadelphia. There you'll see them more frequently. Like they're in like there's one in the Loft District where I used to live a long time ago. Where I mean, it's like blocks of just like substations there. So.
Yeah. Well, I would think that if there's already a generating station out that way, I don't know. I wouldn't think that this would like pose many more concerns, but yeah, I feel like if it's from like a energy, electric, water standpoint, you'd be able to like look at other facilities to see what all is required to run it.
Sure.
And then kind of be able to answer that ahead of time. And then, yeah, I don't like if there are like, concerns over health.
I mean, but there's already a nuclear power plant out there.
Right. So yeah, like you already have that. So
that's what I don't get here.
The bigger concern.
I don't understand that you already got a nuclear power plant there. And look, I mean, if you live out that way, I mean, I'm not aware of anyone that's died from that stuff or anything. I mean, I have to do the research. But what's really the difference between a nuclear power plant versus an AI data center? I mean, that's my question more than anything else. And they already went through this in Conshohocken. I mean, of course, I think anyone gets up in arms over any kind of development and the cost, and maybe it'll raise those things. But the flip side of this is that we kind of need this stuff around here. I mean, I think this is a good infrastructure to have in place. I don't know how many jobs it would create or anything else. The use is permitted under current zoning. So it's really up to the commissioners to retain the authority to impose the conditions related to height, noise, environmental standards, et cetera. So, I mean, I think this happens no matter what. Anytime there's any development, you always get people complaining.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, is that fair to say? It just seems like every one of these stories we talk about, there's uproar in the community, which good, go voice your concerns. But the zoning says you can do it. I don't know really what else there's to do.
Right. And I mean, like, this has to be, like, from a safety standpoint, way less of a risk than what a nuclear power plant would be.
You would think. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
unless if they're thinking like you're adding more things on, but like, I mean, I did before have to look into, and now I can't remember all of the details of all of it, but like evacuation protocols within certain radiuses of the power plant for some clients. So there's a lot of information out there.
Well, and I think that, I mean, that's a normal thing, because I think, I mean, and you want to understand that. So, I mean, I don't see too much of an issue with this. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens, but it seems like no matter when these things get developed, even if they're in, like, it's between premium outlets and the generating station. Like, what are we talking about here? So we'll see what happens. Now, the next piece of development news, this I think makes a lot of sense, and it's very telling when it comes to housing affordability. So there is a 622 unit project that is on slate to be developed on Stonewall Capital, closed on 187 acres. It's going to be called White Clay Point. It's going to include 622 residential units and commercial space. It's in New Garden Township in southern Chester County. And this is a Baltimore-based company. I mean, you're right on the border by Maryland anyway. And in addition to the 622 residential units, there's going to be 115,000 square feet of commercial space, a Wawa office space, and 220 acres that's going to be developed. It's right at Gap Newport Pike, and they just completed the purchase here, and it looks like this is going to start construction here sooner than later once they get approvals. It's going to be a mix of townhomes, villas, single-family homes, and 8 estate lots that would be constructed by Lennar. What do you think about this? And it's the average price in this particular township is 500, or in Chester County, it's 550,000 to give some perspective here.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I think if they can keep it with like somewhere within that range too, like what we need is not just more construction, but more affordable construction. Because oftentimes when we see different communities coming up, it falls into that luxury category that, while does help people that fall into that pocket, a majority of people, that's beyond what they can afford. So for unlocking inventory for, price points that match what most of the residents are looking for, this would be a good number of homes to bring to the market.
So I like that they're going to have a mix of properties. I mean, my parents recently moved to a 55 and over in Maryland. They split time between up here and down there, and they've got all these different types of homes. I think that's really smart. People like these planned communities. You think about like Greystone in Westchester. They've got all the different types. It's very popular. What I also like about this is that they're going to a place that they can handle another 600 some homes. You look at what's going on with the Exton Mall, and people are losing their mind over 200 homes, let alone 600. What it also shows me is that when it comes to affordability, you may need to look outside of your comfort zone in terms of the community. Like if you want a newer home and that's going to be bigger and better, you might need to go to a more rural location. And that's the hard truth for a lot of home buyers out there right now. And to me, there's 2 types of buyers. There's some that chase the house and some that chase the location. And chase may not be, but they're looking for a certain type of home or they want to be in a certain area. And if you want a certain type of home, you may need to go to a different location than you might like.
Right.
How factual is that? Have you had people that have gone through both? I mean, obviously, we all know what happens when people are in like elementary schools and they're trying to keep their kids in a school district. You're kind of limited there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think that people realize. Well, actually, it takes them longer than others. But if you're looking to be in a certain location, but you're also looking for a certain type of home, and either you're not, there is no properties that are popping up that match that, or everything is $200,000 more than what you can afford, or they're being listed right at the top of your budget, but then consistently going way over. That's not like a one-off situation. If that is what is consistently happening over and over again, that's what it costs to get that home in that area. So then you've got, kind of a decision to make for, as you were saying, like, is it the location that you want, or is it, a certain type of home that you want? Or could you be in a position to, secure the location and a home that is not at its like present condition exactly, the dream house that you've been envisioning, but is it something that over time you can improve upon and get it there? And how much time do you have to make that option make sense for you?
I think that's really smart advice, because there's some people, they only want a new home. Like they're only going to look for it. If that's what you want, you may have to move to a different location. I mean, that's just the reality. And developing over time and improving a property over time. I mean, I've done that myself. I know you've done that. I think it makes a lot of sense if you need to be in a certain location. It's really about what's going to be most important to you. But when you look at affordable housing, this is the kind of development that's going to help that issue. It may be in an area where, yeah, you're not right down the street from everything you want to be, because those homes are expensive. There's a lot of demand for those.
But there's going to be a Wawa.
There's going to be a Wawa. There's going to be a grocery store tenant that gets built in there. They haven't identified the name of that. So sometimes you got to take a chance on, if affordability is your issue, what can you actually do about it? And this project has been kicked around for a while now. It was originally, this site was acquired by the Philly-based mall owner, PREIT, in the early 2000s. And they were talking about a big box retail center, and that plan stalled. So kind of like a Main Street sort of thing, like an Exton or a town center in King of Prussia. So this looks like a good blend, and this is the kind of development you want to see happen. These developers also did something in northern Maryland, in Cecil County, just about 40 miles south, called South Fields of Elkton, where they're doing the same kind of project there, 650 acres, same sort of thing. So I like this for southern Chester County. That's a growing area. You see a lot more new housing and development down there, and I think that could solve some problems. So that's certainly good news, and that may be where you need to go if you want that kind of home. I mean, otherwise you might need to just make some decisions. And that's
right.
That's always the hard conversation with buyers too.
Well, I feel like sometimes there too is where you almost have to show the little like Venn diagram of like, what you can get where, and then you have to kind of figure out what is the most important.
Well said. And then you got to make a decision. That's really what home ownership is all about. So the last local piece of news here, Taylor Hospital. So that's in Springfield, Delaware County. It was bought at a bankruptcy auction in September. And there's local investors acquired the hospital in a bankruptcy auction in September, and they're now picking up the Springfield Hospital after the original auction winner's deal fell through. So, these auctions, everyone thinks you close these deals. It's kind of like Shark Tank. It doesn't mean anything gets done. You have to finish all the paperwork. So Prospect Medical Holdings announced in a court filing on Friday it plans to sell the hospital and the adjoining parking lot to KQT Aiden Partners 2 for $1 million. They also paid $1 million for this. Seems like a really good deal.
Yeah.
Wait,
they got a hospital for $1 million?
They bought the other hospital for $1 million.
Wow.
And
I mean, I don't need one, but like
there's probably a lot of overhead running a hospital. So I mean, it'd be pretty creepy walking around there at night by yourself too. Now look, I mean, there's probably a lot of repair work and other things. Who knows? So KQT, they are working on bringing a healthcare provider and emergency services back to the closed Ridley Park Hospital. So I like this for Delaware County, because you think about like trauma centers and everything else. Like, we're very fortunate to live close to, I mean, you just had a baby, you know how important it is being close to the hospitals. There's not a lot of that in Delaware County right now. You got Riddle, and that's it. And there's a lot of stress on these hospitals because you have Lankenall's picking up some of the slack. Obviously, Paoli Hospital, Riddle Hospital. This could be a good thing for the entire community here. There was the company that won the October auction. And listen, this is where you know this deal went sideways. The winning bid was $3 million, but they didn't complete the sale in time, so they were probably trying to get some investors in or structure the deal. Any deal. I mean, think about how hard it is to put together a residential deal, let alone something like this. And the KQT purchase contingent on lifting a deed restriction requiring 24/7 emergency services at Springfield Hospital. So they're not going to have like an emergency room there, but just having another hospital is going to be good. What do you think about this? I mean, I think this is great news for everyone in Delaware County.
So they took a hospital that has been closed and not operating, purchased it, and then they're going to bring in people to, I guess, like make improvements and have a running, functioning hospital again.
Well, and this is the second one they purchased, because Taylor Hospital's in Ridley. That was also the other one. That was the one that was still open recently. Springfield's been closed for a good bit. So
yeah, no, I think that's great. Having hospitals close by, I feel like regardless of what stage of life you are in is important, and you don't want to have to be in a situation where, you're a good distance from them.
Well, and like Crozier Hospital in Chester this is a real need here. So I love what KQT is doing. I'm curious what we know about these people. I'm trying to. There's really not a lot of information about them, and of course, it's like an LLC, so it's going to be very difficult finding what the heck is going on with these people. But this is good news. And, if you're looking at, something, to support, you live in this area, I would be, pushing showing up at these meetings, because we see a lot of people do this stuff. And I would be having conversations with them about it, showing up, voicing your support, because healthcare is a need. And I mean, that there's not a lot of that going on right now in Delaware County. So very, very good news here. Anything else you want to add, Sarah? We're going to go to this new listing we got. So
let's go to the listing.
You want to explain the listing here? We got a new listing, courtesy of Adam Lavin on our team over on Wynwood Road in Ardmore. I see you got it pulled up. Why don't you explain it? And then we've got an open house on Saturday we can share.
Yeah. So this property is expected to hit the market on Friday, so the 23rd. It is a twin home, 3-bed, 1.5 bath. 1,454 square feet. We've got taxes are below 7,000 for the year. We only have like an external photo of it up, but you are right there in Ardmore, and the list price is $375. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where you're getting a single family home in Ardmore for less than that. So it's right on Wynwood Road. It's open Saturday 11 to 1. And if you can't make that, we can schedule an appointment with you. All you got to do is click on the link right in the comments, and we can get that all ready to go here for you and get you in. That's the only open house we got this weekend. Now, there might be a snowstorm this weekend. So
I was not expecting the amount of snow that we got this past weekend.
Of course, we had a holiday party on Saturday, and unfortunately, it didn't derail the holiday party. But it snowed all day on Sunday; like it did not stop. And so of course, my snowblower is broken. I have to get that. It was actually the call I got was the snowblower repair company, and I need to call them right away to get that done because
back up and running.
we want to help out our neighbors here too. So that's all we got this week. You want to follow Sarah? She's at Ty Time on Instagram. It's Ty_Ty Time, TY_TYTIME. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD, and we'll be back next week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.